Yahoo Sports today has a story. It's pretty good. We're going to do better. And it says 10 bold predictions for the 2025 college football season. And of course, it's heavy up on Arch Manning. Of course. Now, you can disagree or agree with each one. I can go through a few of these. But let's do this, because predicting college sports is a waste of energy and waste of time, because it's a bureaucratic and clunky operation that's probably not going to do much of what you think the industry should do. So I will completely rearrange it, and we'll do it this way. What should happen in college sports? What should change? Who should win? Right? Okay, so these are, I'll go through these pretty quickly. They're not, it's not outrageous, but we can do better. Number one, what a shock. Of the 10 predictions for the 2025 college football season, Arch Manning will win the Heisman Trophy. Consider last year's betting favorites, Yahoo says. Week 1 of last year, get this list. I think the point here is, and it's reasonable, man, stuff can change. Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, and Jackson Dart. By the way, Travis Hunter of Colorado won. He should have won. And the odds were at plus 500 that he would win. There you go. So here's the thing, though. I will say this about the Arch Manning prediction for the Heisman Trophy. And you have to step back and check all logic and being reasonable and objective at the door. That's not what's going on today. But the Heisman Trophy is his to lose. It's his to lose. And I think, not meant to be a hot take, but I think by 3:30 on Saturday the 30th, you'll have a pretty good idea of whether or not he's got the inside position on the Heisman Trophy. Because yes, that's exactly what will happen on Saturday. That's how big that game is. It's what people care about. Okay, let's see. They predict he'll win the Heisman Trophy. Number 2, Penn State will beat multiple top 5 opponents in the regular season. I agree. They're the best team. Okay, they're the best team in the country now. Ohio State and Texas aren't as good as Penn State top to bottom. Number 3, 2 receivers will make it to New York City as Heisman Trophy finalists. Okay, sure. Number 4, there will be a 4-way tie atop the Big 12 standings. Yeah, I don't know about 4, but I could see 3, maybe 4. That's not outrageous. And what's unfortunate about that, because I do think the Big 12 is good. I do think the Big 12 is interesting. Unfortunately, if they do that, then only one team is likely going to get in. I think that sucks. But that's not an outrageous prediction. About the Big 12, I think Arizona State's the best team. I think they have one of the best quarterbacks in the sport. I think they have one of the better head coaches in the sport. I think TCU is really good, and I have no idea, neither do you, on Texas Tech, and I don't think even Texas Tech knows. So yeah, there's kind of a log jam at the top 3 or 4, and it's pretty cool. I like that race. Unfortunately, that race is going to knock a couple people out, because that committee, that biased homer committee that picks this tournament, I'm afraid is not going to give a second Big 12 team a chance. Number 5, the ACC will send just one team to the college football playoff, but it will be the number 1 overall seed. That's entirely possible. That also, like the Big 12, would be unfortunate. Clemson is really good. If I had to pick a poll today, the best players, not feelings, all that stuff, just the best roster, I think Clemson would probably have the second best roster after Penn State in the game today. LSU might have the third best roster. And so, yeah, I could see Clemson winning that league. I could see Clemson being the number 1 overall seed. I don't think that's outrageous. Number 6, follow this. The coach who loses the Baylor-Auburn game in week 1 will not make it to the end of the season. I like that. I think that's pretty well thought out. There's a lot to read into. The whole world is anticipating Arch Manning. The whole world. The entire college football loving world is anticipating Ohio State and Texas. But man, there are some undercurrents of games that set the tone. One of them would be Clemson LSU. The other, Baylor Auburn. That is a huge game for the Big 12. That is a huge game and a huge weekend for the SEC. If Auburn goes to Waco, and I believe it's a Friday night, and Baylor beats them, Hugh Freeze, his hair is on fire. He's on a fast track to a miserable year and the chance to get fired. If Auburn beats Baylor, Dave Aranda not only won't get fired, he wouldn't deserve to get fired. The guy pulled off a miracle a year ago and won 8 games. The game is cool. It matters. And I do agree if Baylor beats Auburn, they're in trouble, but it's not the other way around. Number 7 is Iowa has a 3,000-yard passer. No one cares. No one cares. 8, Oklahoma will be vastly improved, but win just one more game than it did a year ago. Yeah, I could see that. That's entirely possible, entirely probable. That schedule's brutal. I don't know if that Oklahoma team is loaded up for a 1-year run or they're loaded up for a 2-year run to get better. But yeah, they probably roster-wise will be a better team this year. It just won't show up that much. Look, Brent Venables' buyout is too big. They don't have the money. Heck, they're selling press conferences. So I don't think he gets whacked now. The question is, what's the 3-year window for Oklahoma football? I don't think it's very good. Number 9, the Big Ten won't agree to change the college football playoff format, so the bracket stays at 12, whatever. Number 10, I don't even know what this is about. I don't know who came up with this. Number 10, Bill Belichick's North Carolina squad makes the Mayo Bowl, and he receives a mayonnaise bath. That's just weird, and the first sentence is about his girlfriend, Jordan. Bill Belichick has a one of the most impactful games of the first weekend. I didn't say the sexiest. I didn't say the most watched. I said impactful is TCU and North Carolina. North Carolina doesn't have very many tough games. If Bill Belichick needs to send a flare to a few owners in the NFL, I fixed this place. See, I'm not out of touch. Then he's got to win that game against TCU. And I'll tell you something, TCU is the better team. TCU is really pretty good with a great coach. So that game is huge, not just for the Big 12, but huge for Belichick. Okay, so that's what Yahoo says, predictions, blah, blah, blah. Let me do this with you. Let's change this up. Let's have a few more opinions, a little more bite to the conversation. This is what should happen, in all caps, in college football this season. Okay, the sport is clunky, it's bureaucratic, it's slow-moving, it's out of touch, but you still want to watch, and it's interesting, particularly early in the year. So this is what should happen. Got it? Feel free to disagree. Instant replay in college football should be completely revamped, okay? Get the old men out of there. Put an age limit on it. I don't care. It's awful. It's awful. It doesn't work well. It should be completely revamped. It should be centralized. It should be streamlined. And that process, I don't care if you have to go to the RTF department, radio, television, they don't have radio anymore. Never mind. Film department of every campus you can find. Go find 3 people to reinvent this review process, because what's going to happen, and you can write it down now, and it will be awful. Heck, it won't even take very long in a college game this weekend or any other weekend. Oh, here you go. You're going to have the referee, and then they're going to get together and talk, and that's going to take about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, okay? Then the referee is going to do that slow jog. It's seemingly like 1.5 miles away to go put his face in a tiny little camera and then talk for a while to 3 old dudes. and then do the slow jog back for a mile and a half, talk to some more people, talk to a coach, talk to another coach, and there goes 7 minutes in the first quarter of a college football game. The whole system is awful. There's no way that is the best someone can do in 2025. Fix it. It should never, write it down, it should never last more than 2 minutes. Period. I have to advocate that you put a rule that says if you can't overturn the call in 2 minutes, forget it. Let's get going. Lincoln Riley should be fired by USC after another non-playoff season. The buyout's huge. I don't care. It's ridiculous. They haven't made a playoff. I'm not saying they won a championship. They haven't made a playoff. He should be fired. Texas State, I said it. Snake Farm U, Texas State should be in the Big 12. They can't and won't, and they've found a way to survive for the next few years in something that's going to be the Pac-12. But they should be in the Big 12. And the Big 12 should have welcomed them in. Look, the school's growing. The connection between Austin and San Antonio, I mean, the demographics are there. They're there. I'm not saying it's a huge television audience, but it's not a bad one. They should be in the Big 12. Penn State, I said earlier, should win the national championship. They may, whether you lose on the way doesn't matter. All that matters is where you are in the playoff, and that's the best roster in the game. The SEC should have a team in the championship game. And oddly enough, as we sit here today in week 1, it should probably be LSU. LSU has an overall, at least as we stand here today, there are more unknowns with Texas than there are with LSU. LSU is probably the best roster in the SEC. An experienced quarterback. They should be in the championship game. Halftimes of college football should be reduced to 10 minutes. I think they're 20-something now. It's awful. The halftime shows suck. And I don't mean the bands. I mean the halftime shows on TV suck. They're bad. They're boring. They're clunky. The halftime should be 10 minutes. The NFL does it. You don't leave. The Big 12 should have at least 2 teams in the tournament, but may not. And I think that's unfortunate because there's a lot to like. Arizona State has Sam Leavitt, who I think is one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the sport today. TCU is really much, much better than people realize. Everyone is sleeping on TCU. I think TCU, if you're sort of going to go out there, and I think this will happen, I think TCU is the most marketable and the best coach in the sport right now. I think he's proved it for a few years. There's a lot to like in the Big 12, especially here's the X factor for the Big 12. Okay, because I think TCU is good. I think Arizona State is good. Is Texas Tech? Texas Tech's the X factor. If that money is well spent and they're as good as people think in terms of return on investment, it's a good league in the top half. It really is. John Gruden will be hired by someone. Maybe Auburn. Maybe Arkansas. And go down the list. I do think he's in play. I do think he's marketed himself. Maybe Texas Tech. I do think people, I think people will do it. I'm not sure it's a terrible idea. Okay? So if Baylor beats Auburn, then Auburn is going to be open sooner rather than later. The question then is, does Hugh Freeze last the entire season? But, so John Gruden, I think, is in the market. As I said, and I don't care where the program is, Sonny Dykes at TCU won't be the biggest coaching target in the sport. He should be the target. I don't care if you're talking about Oklahoma. I don't care if you're talking about USC, Auburn. That should be your target. Let me give you the litmus test. And I think this is the judgment of coaches. Coaching at a blue blood is not the best measurement. The measurement is what you've done before that. And tell me how this is not remarkable. Sonny Dykes goes to Cal. Cal's really good. Cal has Jared Goff. He goes to SMU. What you see of SMU today is because what Sonny Dykes did at SMU, they're really good all of a sudden. He goes to TCU, and they're in the national championship game. How he is not the number one target, I think, will be a giant mistake. He should be first on everyone's list. Would he take it? I don't know. That should be the first person that gets the first call, whatever job opens up. Bill Belichick lasts an entire season, I think. And he should, and will jump to the NFL as fast as possible. The question would be how long before the Giants whack Brian Daboll? The question would be what happens in Cleveland? The question would be what happens in New Orleans? I mean, I guess New Orleans isn't making a chance. But either way, Bill Belichick should be in the mix. I don't know that he will, but he should be. Okay? Arch Manning should jump to the NFL if he's a top 5 pick. Saying otherwise is dumb. That's a dumb thing to say. Okay? I don't know that he'd be a top 5 pick. We don't know. I'm just saying, I don't care what your name is. Okay? I don't care. If you're a top 5 pick, you go. You go. Cade Klubnik at Clemson should win the Heisman Trophy. He's put up ridiculous numbers a year ago. He lit up a really, really good Texas defense in Austin. He should be the Heisman Trophy winner. Texas A&M, you should be a playoff team. I think I'm stating the obvious. You should be a playoff team. That starts, I don't know that you have to pull off a road win at Notre Dame, but it sure would help. They should be a playoff team. Texas Tech, dollar for dollar, should win the Big 12, but won't. The question is how good are they, right? But they should win the Big 12. They should be a tournament team for $25 million. I don't think you'll disagree with this, but Mike Gundy should be done at Oklahoma State. It should be. And the thing is, even though he's a dislikable guy, the giant hair, and he's a jackass, and he's kind of surly, somehow I'm going to miss the weirdo. Yeah, we need more weird people in the sport. We need more surly people in the sport, and he's kind of fun to have around. But I don't think it's entirely his fault that Oklahoma is just absolute trash at this point. But it probably should be the end for Mike Gundy. They're awful, and they can't be fixed because they don't have the money. It should be the end. How it ends, I don't know. I suspect he goes out on his own terms. He probably quits or whatever. And then this, the final should. I'm not saying these do happen. I'm saying they should happen. Bill Belichick should break up with Jordan, his 24-year-old girlfriend, for a number of reasons, but he should break up with her because an NFL club is probably not going to want that circus around. I may end up losing a bet, but I predicted the two of them would not be together by the time TCU and North Carolina start the season. But if I'm an NFL team and I want him, I really don't want that baggage of all that comes with him right now. So if he wants to wave his arms, and he does, if he wants to wave those flabby triceps of his at the NFL, and I think he does, and I think he will, it would probably help to not have her along. Sorry. She'll be fine without him. He'll be the same without her. That's what should happen. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get 3 things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999.